18 to 37-year-olds are the most frequent viewers of live stream video in the US. 52% of live video viewers stream content through social media. Video streaming accounted for nearly half of all downstream internet traffic. What does it all mean? Let's find out on the Why I Go Live podcast with Coach Kirk.
Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes. We are back for episode number 2 of the Why I Go Live podcast. I'm your host, Kirk Nugent, the Geek Speaker Preacher, and I want to share this with you. I want to share it with you. I don't know if I've said it this season yet. Your live stream is your digital storefront. Yeah, that little storefront. Yeah, there's no better way to go from busy and broke to peaceful and paid than for your ideal audience to see you do your thing live. And I'm super excited about this season 2, where I get a chance to start this season off with some solo shows to really chat it up with you guys, dive deep on the value proposition of live streaming. Now, we're going to dive into some of those questions that we talked about at the end of episode 1. The 3 main questions that I get, or 3 main comments I hear from people about live streaming. I want to debunk all of them so that you have no more excuses, as they say. But before we do that, I want to give you some statistics. Catch this. Millennials are the largest group of consumers of live content. 63% of people ages 18 to 34 are watching live streaming content regularly. Quality, catch this, quality for live streams is improving rapidly. In fact, live streams now have better buffering and video start time metrics than on-demand video. That's crazy. Lastly, nearly 3/4 of millennials report that videos are helpful when they are comparing products while online shopping. Oh, this is the time where I say, this is where all the rage is. This is where the opportunity hits the road. You want to make sure you are gaining access and harnessing the power of live streaming for whatever it is that you're going to be doing. Oh man. I just get so excited when I read some of those stats. I mean, 3/4 of millennials are using content to be able to compare when they're making shopping decisions. I hope that light bulbs are going off in your head right now, that you want to make sure your content is one of those videos. You want to make sure that you're part of the decision-making matrix. And here's the piece that they don't say. If there is no video on that particular piece of software or product or whatever it is that they're comparing, they're just going to go with the one that there is video on. And again, this comes back to the concept that we want to harness the power of content creation and live streaming. Here on the Why I Go Live podcast, we always want to make sure that we get a chance to hear from you. And so we have heard from you. Several of you have submitted some things in, and here's the first one of 3, right? Just going to get 3 of them, and we're going to get out of your way today. First one is, I don't have camera confidence. Oh boy. I can't tell you how many times I've heard this one. I don't have camera confidence. I don't feel confident when the camera turns on. There's something that happens when the camera turns on. I don't know what to do. I kind of clam up. I freeze. I don't have what it takes to really deliver on camera. And here's what I say to people who are looking to build camera confidence. Now, here, let me qualify this by saying that there are two types of people. One type is the type that's going to say, I'm already giving myself the no. I've already disqualified myself from being a part of the group that can live stream. So you've already given yourself the no. You're not really looking for any other answers. Not much that I can do for you. Sorry. If that's you, that's a self-limitation that you've imposed. No one else can take that off of you except you. So that's not what I'm speaking to. I'm speaking to the person who says, this is an issue I have. I don't have confidence. I want to go on camera. Now, that person, listen up. Here are some items that you can do. Number one, you want to have a pre-show routine. I learned this when I was in public speaker school, and it changed the dynamic. I used to really struggle to be a public speaker and to get on stages, but I pushed myself through it because I wanted to really hone this skill set, and I recognized the immense value it was going to have in other aspects of my life. A pre-show routine, a pre-stage routine, a speaking routine, whatever you call it, right? Some people call it the cheat code. I've heard that Eric Thomas does 50 push-ups. I don't know if that's true. I have no clue. But I will say this, you having a pre-show routine, something that includes, checking the camera, making sure the scenes are right, making sure you have your content ready, the graphics that you need, you've gone through the different things, you've actually done a practice run. A pre-show routine has all the checklist that you would ever need to be able to know I've done my prep, so now I'm ready to go live. There's nothing that gives confidence than knowing I've done everything that I can do to be adequately prepared for this live stream. When you've done that prep work, you go into it with a different level of confidence. This is just something I know to be true. All right, here's the second one. You've got to know your content. You got to know your content. You've got to be intimately familiar with the content. Now, don't hear what I'm not saying, okay? I'm not saying you need to be the best at this particular content. You just have to be intimately aware of the content. So many times people have trepidation. They're fearful of going live to speak on a particular thing because they feel like, oh my word, I don't necessarily know this. Well, then know it. Do the homework. The homework of understanding what it is you want to share, and make sure that what you want to share is something that you've experienced for yourself. More on that later. Make sure you know your content. Now, this third piece, we're still on camera confidence. I have to say this. Review your show. Review your show, yo. Review your shows. Nothing prepares you for the next live show more than watching the previous live show. And here's what's critical. In order for you to have a previous live show, you have to have gone live. The best part of this process, which is a cyclical process, the best part of the process, however, is review. Being able to go back and watch film. Every high-performing individual watches film. And so I highly encourage you, if you're looking for camera confidence, you want to make sure you have a pre-show routine. You want to make sure you know your content. Do the homework. And then you want to make sure you go back and review your shows. You will see things. You will see your voice. You will hear your voice inflections. You will see maybe a nervous thing that you do. You will be able to self-edit and get just one incremental step better every time you go live if you take time to review. That's a cheat code right there. Now, here's another one. Here's number two. Number two. What if someone asks a question I don't have the answer to? Oh, I love this one. I've done my homework. I've watched film. I've done the things that, on my list for my pre-show routine. But what if somebody asks me a question that I don't know the answer to? Let me put you at ease right now. That's why I wanted to zoom in. Let me put you at ease right now. Okay, you ready for this? They will. Oh, I don't want to scare you, but I don't want to leave you in a sense of false hope either. Invariably, somebody's going to ask a question that you don't know the answer to. And here's what your answer is. I don't know. Because that's the truth. And here's the biggest piece of this. That's okay. And maybe for somebody out there, just hearing that's the piece that you needed. That's the missing piece. That's the part that's going to get you over the hurdle. That's going to allow you the freedom to put one foot in front of the other again. Listen, people don't resonate with what's perfect. They resonate with what's real. Okay? They resonate with what's real. Answer them from your lived experience. I was talking to a coaching client, and we're going through this a similar, an adjacent question. He wasn't necessarily saying, what if somebody asked me a question I don't know the answer to? He was more or less saying, what if somebody's kind of arguing with me about my answer? What if they don't necessarily agree with my approach? And I'm like, that's going to happen. But you've got to couch your answer in your experience. I don't necessarily say, hey, this is the only way to get this done. I'm saying, when I work with this person, this is what I did. When I had this issue, this is what helped me. And when I tell people from that perspective, there's nothing to argue about. There's nothing to argue about. There's no reason for them to come for me in terms of, well, that didn't answer. That's what worked for me. And I'm simply sharing with you. You can take it or leave it. That's what's so great about content creation. All right, here's the third question. I'm not cut out for live. It's simply not for me. Now, I'm going to go back to what I said in the first question. If you have a self-imposed limitation, if you have a mental block that says this is not for me, there's not much that I can do. But if you're saying, I want to do this, but I just kind of feel like this is not for everyone. This is not for me. And I want to say this, like, live streaming is for me, for Kirk, right? The geek speaker preacher, live streaming is like driving. And I believe that live streaming will become just as ubiquitous as a driver's license. I think everybody's going to use it. I think that there are those of us that are doing it, and we're doing it well, high level, and we will simply become the driving instructors in the future, because I believe that live streaming will become just as ubiquitous as driving. And who would ever say, I don't need to drive? Nobody. Why would you ever say driving is not for me? I'm just not cut out for driving. Nobody would say that. At a minimum, you will sit in the car and allow someone to drive you. At a minimum, because driving allows you to get from point A to point B. You're starting to see it now. Live streaming helps you to get from point A to point B. And this is the piece that's absolutely critical. Most people who say I'm not cut out for live, it's not for me, they simply haven't found their why yet. Let's take live streaming off of the table for just a second. You will overcome any obstacle, right? Depending on the size of your why. If your why is big enough, you'll figure out all of the pieces that is necessary to get your live stream off the ground, because your why necessitates it. Oh gosh, I feel it. Your why is what gets you up out of the bed in the morning, right? It allows you to hit the ground with purpose and move with vigor and zeal and drive and hunger. Why? Because you know you have something to accomplish. And if live streaming helps you to get across that hurdle, you will figure out the live streaming. I had a finance advisor who I was doing a live show for. And one of the things that his team and I were able to talk him into was to get him to agree to just do one section of the show where he would take live questions from the audience. Now, some of his team members already had some questions canned. He was very reluctant for this. Been telling me for weeks, this is just not for me. I'm not cut out for this. I don't know if I like this. I don't really want to, but it's his business. And his marketing team was like, we got to go live. We think that this guy is absolutely phenomenal. He is an advisor. He has people coming into his office on a regular basis, and he's constant. People are leaving out of his office saying, oh my word, thank you. And they wanted to capture some of that magic. And his team members knew that if we just created the right scenario where he could feel like, I hope that you just put all the questions together, all of the tips that I've given you today, put them all together in this one story. If we could just put together the routine that would allow him to get into that mode that he gets into when he's in that advising session in his office, one-on-one, if we could figure out a way to capture that magic and bring it to live, then it would have exponential results. And I'm telling you, I'm here to tell you, listener, I'm here to tell you, those of you who are viewing, I'm here to tell you, as you're doing your regular routine and you're listening to this podcast today, that's exactly what happened. They had some canned questions. They didn't even get a chance to ask them. Somebody asked him how to do something in the chat, and he You know, it took us a second to get him to realize that the question was being asked. And once we got him to read it, you could see in the live show on camera, you could see the wheels turning in his head, and you could see him reading and starting to understand what they're asking and realizing, no, you're going about it the wrong way. And he began to detail for this person a specific strategy that they could do with their money that would yield them exponential results. You know what the result of that was? In the comment section, everybody was just typing, how do I get this man to manage my money? Where do I get, sign me up, book the call. How do I get this man to manage my money? And you know what the best part of that was? Aside from the fact that he got the business, aside from the fact that the team got a win, aside from all of that, you know what the best part was? The man himself, this financial advisor, elderly gentleman, he loved it. He absolutely loved it. This is a guy who told me for months, I'm just not cut out for this. It's not for me. This guy goes live by himself now because he loves the real-time engagement and interaction, because it reminds him of being in his advisor suite, in his office with that client, and he's able to help them. And one of the burning passions that this guy has is that he wanted to help people do the best next step with their money. I'm just not cut out for this. It's not for me. I guarantee you, you just haven't found your why yet. I'm going to land it right there, y'all. This is episode 2, season 2 of the Why I Go Live podcast. It's your boy, Kirk Nugent, the Geek Speaker Preacher, hoping that somewhere in the show today, as we shared with you some of these misconceptions about live streaming, that you were able to see those puzzle pieces fit together. You were able to have that light bulb aha moment. Essentially what we're saying is we're hoping you're able to figure out how it all works. And we will see you around these internet streets or in the next audio stream.
Why I Go Live, hosted by Coach Kirk, is a composition production. Real streamers, honest stories, and incredible impact. Add your voice to the conversation. Go to kirkrnugent.live/member to join the community. And let's figure out how it all works.